So some of you have asked about videos and that sort of thing, about how to tune up a bike. So I thought I would just make a simple and quick video to show you how to quickly adjust your rear derailleur, which is the thing that will give you the most problems and will need to be tuned up most frequently. So generally what happens is your cables will stretch over time and your bike won't shift as snappy, which is exactly what's happening to my bike right now. I just changed the cables 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and I went for a long 130k ride yesterday, and now my cables have stretched and it doesn't shift as well as it should. So if you watch, when I try to shift up, you can see the derailleur skipping because the cables are now stretched, so there's not enough tension on the cable anymore to pull the derailleur as far over as it should go to shift up into the next gear. And you can see that, see now it shifts. There's some issue with that one too. All of these ones up here probably have problems. Yeah. So the easiest thing to do to get to fix this problem is to just adjust this barrel adjuster here on your derailleur, where your cable runs into the derailleur. You have another barrel adjuster. Generally, most bikes will have another barrel adjuster up on the down tube. If you have external cable routing, you'll see it there attached to the frame near the head tube. But that's more for adjusting on the fly. I wouldn't mess with that one as a permanent fix. I would use this barrel adjuster as more of a permanent solution. So what you want to do is you want to shift all the way down to the bottom and then shift up just one gear and then spin the wheel, and as the wheel is turning, yeah, so it's shifted. So what you want to do is just turn the barrel adjuster counterclockwise until it lines up nicely with that gear. Not necessarily right in the center, but until it stops being a pain. And then once you've done that, shift up once more. That's a good shift. Good shift. See that one? That one's hesitating. So you want to turn the barrel adjuster just ever so slightly until it shifts up. Almost there. There it goes. And then once more. You can see that all the shifts are pretty snappy now. Then go all the way back down and do it again. You can see now all the shifts are pretty good. And just you can verify by how well this pulley is lined up with the chain ring that it's on, with the sprocket that it's on. From there, though, if you want to do a full tune-up on the derailleur, because eventually your cables will stretch so much that you'll have to turn this barrel adjuster out to its maximum and you won't be able to do anything to it anymore. So what you want to do at that point is shift all the way down into the smallest sprocket, and then take your tool and undo the bolt that holds the cable into the cassette, or sorry, into the derailleur. And while you're here, you can check the high and low limit screw. So basically what they do is the high limit screw determines how far out this way the derailleur will sit. So right now this pulley here is relatively in line with this smallest sprocket, which is exactly where you want it to be. And so that's what the low limit screw does. So if I were to tighten that low limit screw, it would push the derailleur a little bit this way, and that's as far as it would go. So it essentially, it's the limit of how far out the derailleur will come this way when it's in the lowest gear. Conversely, the high limit screw, or the low limit screw, determines how far over the derailleur will bring the chain when it goes up into the easiest gear. So right now you can see that this pulley is generally in line with this sprocket. So if I were to, I think if I were to loosen the screw it would allow the pulley to move a little bit further into the wheel. And if you have it too far over, you'll end up the derailleur cage will end up hitting the spokes, or you'll end up shifting right over the gear, this high sprocket, into the spokes. You can have a little bit play, like right now I have mine set so that it's exactly lined up perfectly. You can have a little bit of play because sometimes when you've got a big differential between this sprocket and this sprocket, you might have to overshift a little bit to get it up onto that easy gear. But you just want to make sure that it's not enough to shift it right over. So that's what the low limit screw does. And then just let it shift back down. Okay, so when you're in this point here, you've got this undone. So what you want to do there is you want to basically reset the barrel adjuster by screwing it all the way back in clockwise until it won't go any farther. And once you've done that, grab a hold of the cable and pull it tight. You want to make sure that when you're pulling it tight though, you're not pushing the derailleur this way. You don't want to do that. You want to just pull it nice and tight. I actually think that my low limit screw could be adjusted a little bit. Or my high limit screw, sorry. So I will do that. When you're adjusting the limit screws, it helps, when you're actually doing any adjustment, it helps once you've turned it to just give it a little push. Because sometimes the limit screws there's not enough force on limit screws to actually see how much you're pushing it over. So if you just give it a little push, then it'll set it into its right place. That's pretty good there. Okay, so now take the cable, pull it hand tight. You want to pull it as tight as you can. Not like crazy, but as much as you can with one hand on it. And then tighten up the screw. Alright. Now you want to try shifting up and see how it didn't shift. So what you want to do is then, same thing as before, adjust the barrel adjuster out until it shifts up into that next gear. There. And put it down. Adjust it again. Snappy shifts. So that's not too bad. It's not as snappy as it could be. I would probably give it one more turn. There, that's pretty good. There. That's actually pretty bad there now.